right. What is going on, guys? Welcome. Crypto Fud. And let's jump right into this, guys. Happy Tuesday. It's been a while, right? Well, not really. If you've been a member, we've been streaming a lot more frequently, but definitely didn't stream yesterday. So we're back here. Let's jump right into this. All right, guys. Well, let's do this. Not going to be here for too long. Let's jump right into this. Let's find out what we got going on with the market the rest of this week, which we have a lot of macro numbers coming. What's in store for possibly for the Memecoin'S, the rest of the market. What is going on, guys? Let's do this. Manny's in the house. Art, Jay, Punk, what's going on, brother? Chug. I was trying to do it before the stream started because I'm out. All right, so let's do this, guys. So welcome. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Make sure you guys slap those likes and let's get into this. Bitcoin right now currently sitting at around 94,700. We did see a little bit of a sell-off after the market pretty much closed. We can't seem to break above this 94.5 area. It looks like every time we come up, we just continuously keep getting rejected at that area. In my opinion, we're going to go through some stuff today. I was saying this in the Discord right now. You have half of YouTube, which is like mega bullish, right? Super bullish. And you have the other half literally cut right down the middle that are basically they claim they're not falling for it, and they're pretty bearish, right? Indicating that this could be some kind of a fake out. Where do I stand? I personally stand right in the middle, right? I do think that we're probably going to continue to see more upward movement in the short term for right now. And the reason why I'm thinking that is because if you've noticed the rhetoric that's coming from the White House and from everybody that was basically from the White House calling for the tariffs and all that stuff, they've changed their tune, right? We've seen a complete shift from the president and a lot the people that are basically the spokesmen for these tariffs and stuff like that, that are basically saying, we have a lot of deals on the table. We've spoken to a lot of countries. A lot of things are in the works behind the scenes, stuff like that. And the markets have reacted positively from that, right? Pretty much what we've called, right? We've said that once these tariffs get resolved, the markets were most likely going to rally. I think we're getting to a point, we can continue to move towards the upside, but we're going to get to a point where I think investors are going to be wanting the delivery, right? They're going to be, all right, well, we have deals on the table. Who is it? When do they go in effect? Stuff like that. Obviously, China being one of the bigger ones that I think the markets are kind of waiting for. That was one of the big ones that we saw such a big sell-off on, right? Remember going back and forth with China, stuff like that. So optimistic, thinking, hopefully they do find some kind of clarity and some kind of resolve so the markets can rally. But on the flip side, if let's just say there is no deals being made behind the scenes, or possibly maybe there's more time, what if this is a 6 months ordeal, a year ordeal? The markets are not going to like it, right? And just because we've seen a big run up in the last week, because it's been we've been moving. If you really zoom out, bear with me on this chart, because I know it looks a little crazy here because I do a lot of leverage trading on here. Actually, let's just go to an easier looking chart here. So you can see basically from when we bottomed out, this was at the beginning of April, the 7th. It has been it's been 22 days since we've really bottomed out, right? But since we've seen this massive run that we've seen, it's been 9 days, right? So we've been running 9 days, right? And majority of those 9 days have been green. If you really look at it, I mean, there's only been 3 days. Technically, today is technically a red day, but it really isn't red, right? It's red, but it's not really like we're down like crazy. We're pretty much in a consolidation kind of an area right now where we're pretty much consolidating. Like I said, we can't seem to break above that 95.6 area. Somewhere around there seems to be the spot where we're hitting our head as of right now. So where do I think what's going to happen right now? Like I said, I still do think that as of right now, we're most likely going to continue this move towards the upside. In the member stream, we did talk about, that I personally see a bear flag that is printed, right? We called out a bear flag. This was back, sorry, I keep bouncing back to these charts, but we called out a bear flag when we hit all-time highs, and everybody thought I was crazy, right? I was in here and I was like, listen, we're in this bear flag, and let me reiterate, a bear flag, it is bearish, doesn't have to always work out, towards the downside. And also bear flags can run for weeks, months sometimes, where you're just in this you're in this ascending channel, right? And you're making higher lows and higher highs, but at some point you fall to the downside, right? It breaks. We called this out when we were making highs, our pretty much previous all-time high, running up. And you can see when we pretty much jumped into this bear flag, it was pretty similar, where we had these days where we just exploded up, right? And then we kind of had these days where we're in right now, where it was like up and down, but making higher lows and higher highs. Well, if you can see, we started off, this is back in November the 11th, and when we finally broke down, it was December the 18th. So you're talking about a full 6 weeks of uptrending, right? Until we finally broke and we moved towards the downside. So I'm not saying that that's exactly what's happening here, but if you look at the daily, if you look at a lot of these charts, you can see that there is a bear flag that's formed. And again, like I said, we could easily stay in this bear flag and make new all-time highs very easily, right? So this is just something that I want to point out that I did before, and we pointed this out for the members only stream yesterday on the charts, just to kind of keep everybody prepared. But temporarily and right now, short term, I still do think that the bulls are in power right now. Bears are basically chopping at the bit, waiting to see. We have a lot of earnings that have been coming out in the last few days, and they will be continuing, I think, for today and tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Tomorrow we have GDP dropping, which is it's not going to be good, is what it looks like, right? It looks like we're going to have a negative GDP growth for tomorrow, which that might be the reason why we're seeing, after the markets closed, somewhat of a downward movement. Also, like I said, earnings are coming out as we speak for certain companies that could be bringing down. I haven't checked the futures on the stock market as well. So I would say in these next couple days, just be ready for some turbulence. As long as we can kind of hold at least this trend on the bottom of this flag, which is basically, like I said, making higher lows. Right now, the trend would be somewhere around 94.2, 94.3. Holding that area will probably continue to keep this upward momentum running for, however long we see. Also, another big thing to call out is unemployment is going to be dropping on Friday of this week as well, which is going to be a big thing. It doesn't look like it's necessarily, from the forecast numbers, doesn't look like it's necessarily going to be a bad day for unemployment. Previous numbers, 4.2, forecast to be 4.2. So it looks like they're pretty much calling for a pretty much no change in unemployment, which I think is a little crazy, because on the back end, you're hearing about a lot of layoffs that are happening. So who knows, right? As far as these numbers, I said this during the Biden administration, I didn't believe any of the numbers that came out. So I do believe that these administrations, they don't want negative publicity. They don't want, you to see that, oh my God, unemployment's rising, it's going up so fast. It just doesn't look good, right? So believe it if you want, I don't know. But right now it says that it's going to be basically a flat line. I think the big thing that we're looking at is the non-farm payrolls. Previous was 228. It's forecast to come down a little bit at 130,000 jobs created in the last month. So take it with a grain of salt. Regardless, it probably will continue to cause a little bit of turmoil. If we do get some good numbers on both those days, probably send us, making new local highs. But with that being said, Bitcoin right now is not in a bad place, guys. I mean, think about it. We're at 94,600. Remember just where we were at 2 weeks ago. We were literally in the 80,000s, coming out at 70,000s. Every YouTuber right now that's telling you that we're going to $300 million for Bitcoin was telling you that we were going probably down to 60s. They flip-flop, right? It's crazy how everybody flip-flops so fast over basically a week of running up, right? But it feels good to see the portfolios getting back into the green. Last week we had Memecoin'S going effing crazy, right? You guys, if you guys remember our streams, especially our member streams, I did it on both streams. I called it. I said these Memecoin'S are setting up for some massive runs because they had hit rock bottom, right? Some of these Memecoin'S, we were talking about it yesterday and all the other streams. They had, in the last week, they had jumped up. Some of them, a lot of them have retraced today, right? But as of just a few days ago, they were up 200, 300% in just a few days. We were seeing massive runs, and that's good to see, right? A lot of us made some money. I did jump out on a lot of Memecoin'S did jump back in on the retracements, right? You guys know how I am as far as these moves. I like to jump in, jump out. I do like to hold for the long term. I just like to kind of use the volatility for me to acquire more of the project without having to actually throw in more liquidity. So if I can catch that top and then buy in on a 20-30% discount, I'll do it all day, right? So like I said, with that being said, we're going to jump off of Bitcoin, but I just wanted, you got to always cover Bitcoin for right now. I do think for the most part, we're going to continue to move up. We're seeing a little bit of turmoil right now just because we do have a lot of macro numbers that are finally going to be hitting tomorrow and on Friday as well. So we'll see how that plays out. Flip, no notification. You better write a letter to YouTube, bro, and let them know. I don't know what's going on there. Craig said that we are going to rip this summer. Let's hope, bro. Art said Crip is a Menicki whale. Art, don't be telling people that, bro. Do not tell people that, dude. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what he's talking about. Menicki whale. No. I have a small little bag of Menicki. I think I have like 400 Menicki right now. I'm building, right? I'm building up. I think I have like 400 or something. Like nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Looking at the bubbles for today, you can see pretty much just red across the board. I mean, we do have like Bitcoin Cash Up, freaking Fartcoin, relentless, right? Fartcoin is relentless. It's not going to die, guys. Fartcoin is going to be the biggest meme coin. And I'm not even joking right now. Fartcoin is probably going to be the biggest meme coin when all the freaking smoke clears. So just be ready. Theta's coming out of the dead. Maker's up right now. Solayer, haven't heard of it, up 10%. Trump coin down 11%, bro. Ethereum's up about 0.5% for the daily. So you guys can kind of get the gist on that. Render's up 1%. Nothing too crazy today. I think a lot of projects are cooling off because we did see a big run last week. We really did. The market's just retraced. The market's kind of got that, that bullishness. And we moved. Like I said, the big players for last week were the meme coins, right? Meme coins absolutely destroyed everything in its way. And I mean, it was a big run for a lot of these projects. We'll actually pull up some of the meme coins that we were looking at for last week. Obviously, we brought up Menicki. For Menicki, I do own a big chunk of this project. Not a whale by any means compared to all this whale action right here. Menicki, we were calling this out when we pretty much on the way down, but when we bottomed, especially when Menicki dropped down to like $8-9 million market cap, I was screaming to the hills, as I normally do, right, for projects, that Menicki was a solid buy. Obviously, I'm not giving out financial advice, but I was telling you what I was doing, and I was accumulating massive Menicki at the time. And you can see I didn't catch the exact top, but I was able to definitely, make some money off of Menicki. I did buy back in after we've kind of dropped down and it's calmed, again. But I mean, just big moves just on Menicki from the bottom, right, to the top, right? Started from the bottom, now we here. Just you can see from that bottom that we called to the top, almost a 500% gain within a few days last week on Menicki. Absolutely crazy. 500% gains, guys. I mean, that is insane. Turbo was another one that started ripping it. And you know what I will say about Turbo? I always tell you guys, I think Turbo is a strong meme coin, just like Fartcoin, right? Turbo, bottom, moved up 300%, right, in the last week. It's actually holding a lot of its gains. Menicki's is holding. Menicki's still up like 100% from its bottom, but it's not holding the gains like Turbo. And there's a reason why. Obviously, Menicki is manipulated a lot easier because the market cap right now is only at $20 million, I think, 25 million, versus Turbo is at $300 million. So it's going to take a lot more money for this to move up and down. But you can see 300% gain, and it is still up there. We talked about this on the members only stream because we have a lot of guys that are on in Turbo. Ran up, hit its head at the 618. Looks like it got rejected there so far. So we'll see how this plays out. If this thing does drop back down towards the 786 or below, which is going to be the 31 area, 32. If anything, if it drops below that 32, that right there is a gift, in my opinion, to be accumulating on Turbo, waiting for the next big leg up. That's just my opinion. Myro was another project that we had called out. And like I said, we can go down the meme coin, alley and just check everything out. And you can see Myro looks a lot different, right? You can see this nice run, and it actually is holding a lot of its gains. This was another project that I was screaming that I was picking up massive amount at like 1.9 cents. And you can see it ran up about 224% as its high, and it still is sitting at around 2.5 cents right now at a, holding a lot of its gains. So market cap so low on Myro at $26 million. So that right there, personally, caught the top or somewhere near the top, and I did rebuy back in at these levels. I didn't buy, my whole position back, but I picked up probably about 30 to 40% back on my position, waiting to see if maybe we're going to drop down again a little bit more, so I could just basically get my position back and not have to use as much liquidity, or I can use the same amount of liquidity and just have more of the project waiting for that massive $1 Myro that we know is going to come. Shout out to Gina, always calling out Win. These are obviously all these projects besides Turbo have been Solana based projects. Win was another one, ran up about 200% in the last week, and you can see it has retraced somewhat, but still holding a lot of its gains on Win. So I mean, these are projects that we called out, for the last few weeks. It wasn't really last week when they were running we're calling them out. No, we were calling them out before they ran, and that's what the object of the game is, right? To get into these projects before they explode, and that's what we've been doing for the last few weeks, why everybody is scared, and everybody's like, oh, we're going down to 30K, we're going down to 60K, which I did say, we could come down to 69,000, 69, but we never really made it down to those levels yet. I'm not saying that we're definitely going to be heading down there at all, but it's definitely not on the table as of now, right? So, but the point is that we called out a lot of these projects, and like I said, we could go down and look at memes down the road. Last week, I think the story of the day is that memes were the big movers of last week. So shout out to everybody that took advantage of the Memecoin'S last week. Fartcoin was another one too. You gotta call out the supreme leader here. Fartcoin, I mean, look at that chart. Now we always bring up Fartcoin, but I didn't buy any, and I was pissed. This is a Solana based project as well, and I mean, look at Fartcoin being at $1 billion market cap, right? This was the biggest mover on Memecoin'S that we just pulled up, 400%, and look, it's still holding all of its gains. It's still literally holding all of its gains. It has not dropped. It's still over $1 right now. It's insane. Fartcoin is, we have our jokes about it being a lingerer, it just lingers right there. Like, you eat some Taco Bell and it just like lingers, That's Fartcoin. This thing is going to be here for a while, and I do think that Fartcoin is probably going to be the top meme coin when everything is all said and done. But who knows, right? Who knows where we're going to be at in a month or two. Maybe there's going to be another freaking project that's even going to be even crazier, where I'm going to it's just crazy to say. Remember Cocking You? It sounds weird saying that. Remember that one? Shazam, what's going on, bro? Doing good. How are you? Old's in the house. Art J, missing some O's. Art said he's joking. He said he's joking. He's the Maniki whale. Turbo. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Looking at the fear and greed index, guys, we've kind of been stationary for the last day or two. I remember yesterday when we pulled this up for the member stream, it's pretty much been the same right now, right? We've definitely jumped out of the fear. We're in neutral now, and I always use this as an indicator on the confidence level of the market, and you can see we're 53, so you can see there's more confidence than non-confidence as far as people thinking that the market's going to continue to move up. But you can see we're kind of right there in that middle where, like I said, half the market's saying, yeah, this is it. We're on our next leg up. We're making all-time highs coming. And then you have the other half kind of like almost they have postpartum from, the last 2 months of us getting faked out so much that they're kind of like, oh, I don't know about this one, I don't know yet, and that's pretty much where the market is as of now. I know there's a lot of still bullishness that's happening on the back end. It's for crypto, which is great. But at the end of the day, I keep telling you guys, it doesn't really matter so much short term for a lot of that stuff that's happening. You see these articles. Oh, this country is adopting Bitcoin, and this bill got passed for crypto and this and that, and it's great long term, right? Long term, that's awesome. But short term, the markets are focused on a few different things, and it's really the tariffs, right? You have, with the GDP that's going to be dropping tomorrow, you're going to hear tomorrow the word recession getting thrown around again, right? Recession getting thrown around again a lot. That kind of spooks the markets, but we've been hearing about a recession for the last 5 years, right? I think we had one like 2 years ago that they try to like brush under the rug. I feel like that's but who knows where we're headed right now. Unemployment, right, might spook some, the investors and stuff like that. Jerome Powell in regards to interest rates, that's a big one that a lot of people are focused on, because I think a lot of investors like myself think it is due for us to be reducing interest rates, but Jerome Powell, due to tariffs and stuff like that, he's not budging right now, and that leads to looking at what the charts are, what investors are really thinking, and we have a week from today, basically a week and a day, because it's seven days and 20 hours, so it's going to be basically 8 days from today. Jerome Powell is going to be having the FOMC meeting, and you can see 92.3% of the market is basically calling for a pause, meaning it's not too confident that we're going to see some kind of a reduction in interest rates. But if you flash over to June, this is where it gets a little bit, where you're like, okay, 60%, really 65% are calling for some kind of a reduction in interest rates, and 35% are saying, no, we're probably not going to see any kind of reduction. We're going to see a pause. I personally remember maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was saying it's probably going to be May. Well, it looks like obviously I was wrong on that one, and it's most likely going to be in June, probably a quarter basis point. I think the Feds are going to start off real slow, and as we get into towards the end of the year, they're going to probably start acting more aggressively, doing 0.75 reduction rates, 75 basis points, stuff like that, which the market will rally on at some point. So definitely probably not going to be good for the next week as we see that, but the market has it already pretty much priced in, so I don't think it's going to be, like a big sell-off because Jerome Powell he comes out and he does what everybody's expecting. So looking at this this article right here, we won't go too deep into it, but Dow rises 300 points as trade deal hints lift Wall Street from Trump's era slump. So let's see here. So the U.S. stock closed higher as investors welcome a sign of progress on trade policy processed a flurry of corporate earnings, right? So the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 300 points or nearly 0.75%, while the S&P gained 0.6% and the NASDAQ Composite added 0.5%. The bounce gained momentum in the afternoon after U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told CNBC that a trade deal with an unnamed country was done but awaiting approval abroad. Investors interpreted the remarks as a positive signal amid uncertainty surrounding Trump's trade strategy. So this right here is why we saw that little burst up out of nowhere right before the markets ended to about 95.5, only to kind of see a big sell-off, or not a big sell-off, but a decent little sell-off back into this consolidation zone that we've seen. Lutnick was on CNBC, and I did watch it live, with him basically saying that they've come to some kind of agreement for one of the countries. Most likely, if he's indicating that, it's probably a bigger country. It's not China, though. It's definitely not China. China's going to be the long one. This is what we've been saying for the last month or two. Despite the rally, Donald Trump's first 100 days in his new term has shaped up to be the worst for markets at the start of presidency since Richard Nixon's 1973. The S&P is on track for its biggest loss over the first 100 days of a presidential term in more than 5 decades. So earlier, Trump signed an executive order preventing overlapping auto tariffs, ordering a receptive to automakers already strained by existing levies. General Motors, which posted stronger than expected earnings, pulled its 2025 guidance and suspended share buybacks while awaiting further clarity. Amazon shares also reversed losses after denying plans to display tariff-related surcharges on its site. If you saw that, Amazon started selling off fast because they put out they put out something like basically letting people know that now when you buy stuff on Amazon, there's going to be like, let's say you buy something for $10. When you get into your cart and you're about to hit the purchase, it's going to say, all right, well, this has got a 25% tariff on top of whatever you're buying. And the White House went off on Amazon, one. Two, Amazon backtracked and said, no, they're not going to do it. But to come to Amazon's defense, they were only doing it because I guess Amazon has a Temu section on Amazon where they sell stuff, all that crap that comes from Temu. So Temu did the same thing. They're China-based company. They're going to be having to pay tariffs and stuff like that. So the consumers are going to be paying for that, right? You think Temu is going to be taking 25% or 100%, discount on their stuff that they build? Hell no. They're going to put it over onto the consumer, and they're going to pay. You're going to pay double whatever you're buying on that 2-cent item on Temu. But regardless, Amazon was basically just doing it on the Temu section of their site, not on the normal stuff that they have in their warehouses. But I guess if it's coming from China directly, you're going to be paying the tariffs. Well, they basically throttled back. Not saying they were going to take any of the tariffs off, obviously, but just throttling back on letting people know whenever they're purchasing that there's a certain tariff charge on there. So take it how you want. I don't know. So the earnings were in focus with Spotify, Coca-Cola reporting before the bell, and Starbucks due after the close. Honeywell jumped 5% after a solid earning beat, helping lead the Dow Jones higher. Still, economic data underlying broader uncertainty. Consumer confidence fell for the 5th straight months, and job openings hovered at a 4-year low. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have good stuff going on, and then you have also, it's like a lot of underlining stuff with the economy. And I think this has been building for a while. A lot of this stuff that we're kind of dealing with these companies. I know the tariffs aren't helping, but a lot of this stuff like unemployment and stuff like that, it's been there. We've been at 4% unemployment for a while. This isn't the last 100 days. It's jumped up to 4%. So Bitcoin's price prediction in 2025, Bitcoin surges 10%, but caution persists on the chart. I wanted to go through this because I felt like this was something good here. Let's see who's calling me. So let's see here. So Bitcoin has ignited excitement in the crypto market with 10% price surges over the past week, breaking through key resistance levels and fueling optimism among investors. So a bullish breakout signal optimism. So looking at this chart right here, this is basically their chart. They're on the weekly, and you can see what they're indicating is that we're probably going to have some resistance at that $100,000 mark, maybe getting rejected, coming back down to pretty much levels that we're at right now, around that 94, 95,000 level before taking off and blasting off, right? So you have this one chart, right? And they're pretty much, we could read through this. Recent technical analysis reveal that Bitcoin's, let's see here, has decisively broken out of a fallen wedge pattern that persists from the late 2024 into early 2025. Fallen wedges are traditionally viewed as bullish reversal patterns. So they're giving you the reason why they think that that's possibly going to happen. And then you have on the other side is Bitcoin's price prediction 2025 is a falling wedge misleading, right? So they're thinking on this one that we could run up to 100, maybe break all-time highs or get close to highs, and then get rejected and come back down towards the $70,000 levels, right? And, we can read through this real quick. So despite the bullish indicators, some analysts, like I said, it's 50-50 out there right now. It's literally, if you got 10 investors, 5 of them are probably like to the moon, and then the other 5 are like, pretty bearish. So some analysts have raised concerns about the reliability of the fallen wedge pattern in this context, adding a layer of caution to the Bitcoin price prediction for 2025. While traditionally a bullish signal, the pattern's appearance after a prolonged rally rather than a bottom of a trend could indicate exhaustion rather than strength. On April the 21st, a report from Crypto News highlighted that Bitcoin was still trading below every major moving average on a daily chart, including the 20, 50, 100, and 200-day lines. At the time, Bitcoin was trading around 88K. I was going to say we definitely broke above most of those moving averages as of now. And analysts warned that a failure to hold above 86,000 could lead to a dip towards 8182 historically accumulation zone. This introduces a potential downside risk to Bitcoin pattern prediction. Well, I mean, we broke above a lot of those levels, so I don't know if this kind of like debunks this chart right here. You know, if this could happen, right, where we could run up to 100K. I'm trying to look. They were on that chart was on the weekly. So a couple things on this weekly. Obviously, you can see plain as day a nice W pattern, right? That we've seen. Obviously, we've taken advantage of. Now we are, seeing that W for the win on a nice move. What they're indicating is that Bitcoin could run up to 100K or somewhere around there. They even put it at like even highs of around 104, 105 before getting rejected and potentially coming back down towards 70,000. So if that does happen, we could see something where, let me see if I can get this. EOS, I see the $5 super chat, brother. Thank you so much. I'll jump in on what you got here in a second. We could see, I don't like that. Hold on here. This brush is like, okay, it's there. We could see something like where maybe a big, this is on the weekly, some kind of a M pattern potentially form, making maybe even a new high before getting rejected and maybe coming back down to retest some of these levels, right? That easily could happen. We saw something like that similar back in 2021, right? We've seen something similar like that happen back in 2021. And, I don't necessarily think that's particularly going to happen, but those are things that could, obviously nothing's off the table, where you can see this was all of 2021, but you can see that double top before we came down, right? And this is back in 2021. Another thing too that I was always pointing out, and this was before we even dipped, was that I said that 2020 mimicked 2024, presidential year, nice run up, right? And then we did see a nice cool off for about 8 to 12 weeks, right? And I did some investigation looking at this dip because I feel like that's kind of what we're in right now. And I feel like the run that we're all expecting and that we want is going to come later in the year, right? And that's what happened in 2021. And, if you look, prices are different. This is 2021, but if you look at the dip, right, we dropped down and we saw a bounce of almost 40% in Bitcoin, only to come right back down again before making that big run, right? So things like that could happen easily too, where we're still in a bull market, but we're in a bearish term in a bull market, right? We see a big correction in the market. We kind of sit around like this for 8 to 12 weeks before blasting off again. And this all happened around the same time that we're in right now, right? You can see in May is when we saw the big drop. We kind of saw the big drop before May, right? Because of the tariffs and stuff like that. We saw the big drop kind of in February of 2025, right? But in May, we saw this big drop and we kind of saw this, consolidation, as you want to call it. This is on the weekly, but during the time, it was brutal, right? We dropped all the way down to 28. We bounced back up to 42, basically with a 45% bounce. We thought the markets were back up and running. Oh, we're good to go, only to come right back down another 40% before blasting off towards the end of the year, right? So we could see something like that similarly play out, right? Obviously, prices are going to be different because we're a lot higher and time frames might be slightly different, but you got to tell me, doesn't that kind of look similar, right? This run up, we make all-time highs. We have this big correction, kind of like what we're seeing right now. The correction really wasn't even as big as what we saw back in those days, but we have this correction and we could potentially go into be making another high as a double top before we drop, or we could easily come back down to these levels and consolidate a little bit more before blasting off towards the end of the year, right? So definitely different scenarios right here. And obviously, we're at the whim of Bitcoin, right? Your alts, your meme coins. We saw a good week last week. If we do see, us retrace back down to these levels, obviously, we're going to see alts come back down as well. Maybe learn from if you weren't buying when everybody was terrified last time, aka just 2 weeks ago, a month ago, when you had all this beautiful opportunity to be accumulating, maybe take advantage of it, right? If you think that maybe we're going to see a big run one more time in this bull run, which I do think we're going to get. I just don't know if I'm sold on it happening right now, right? We also have tomorrow is May, right? Tomorrow's May. Usually May in the stock market is not the best month, right? We all know the saying, sell in May and walk away, right? Who knows what it's gonna bring for this year? I think it's on the fence just because we've seen big sell-offs, the last couple months, right? Normally you see good runs during January, February, and then the market cools off during May. Well, we've kind of seen that before May, so who knows, right? But we did see a big blast off before May started off, so who really knows what this month's going to bring? And that's why I'm telling you guys, you have a lot of the market is like, you talk to some people, they're so bullish, and you talk to some people and they're like, I don't trust this run right now that we're in. So I think at the end of the day, what I would take from all this is that I still do truly believe that we have one more massive run, whether it be starting now or it be in the next few months towards the end of the year. I would prefer, honestly, towards the end of the year. I think if we can get that run, it'll build up even more momentum. Now, I'm not calling for some freaking crash down to 50K right now before we see the run, but if we do come back to retest 80K or whatever the hell those numbers are that we might, retest if that happens, so be it. You guys see what happens. How fast does this market move from 75,000, 80K back up to 90,000? It was within days, right? And it will be even faster when it's naturally doing this. Right now, the markets are running off of the same people that basically crashed the market. Now they're changing their tone and the markets are like, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy back in. It can easily, just get reversed. So I don't think it's natural, this run that we're in right now. Hopefully it stays, but if it doesn't, I don't think you need to be upset or be confused. It's just probably wasn't meant to happen this early yet. So we'll see how it plays out. But that's why I was in the member streams, right? I'm in the Discords, and I'm telling you guys yesterday and last week with these freaking meme coins that were up 300%, secure the bag, secure the bag, secure the bag. And I know how you moon boys are, right? You're like, I'm up 3x, I'm up 5x. Are you gonna sell? Hell no, I'm not selling. I'm like, bro, you're up 5%. I mean, you're up 5x right now. You're up 300+% on your investment, dude. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but holy shit, take that win, bro, and just reposition yourself. So it is what it is, right? We're all here for different goals. Like I said, I think we all have different patient levels. I've learned I do have long-term investments, right? I have long-term investments. You guys know I have a shit ton of ordinals. I have a bunch of ICP that I've been accumulating in the previous dip. I still owed my Myro that I did sell. I bought back in, not as much, but I'm planning on buying even more. Maniki, Solana, Bitcoin. I can go down the list that I have bags of that I'm long-term on. But if one of those positions run up 5x in a few days, I'm cashing out. And I'm going to reposition myself because you guys know 90% of the time it's going to run up and there's going to be a big correction. It's going to come right back down. So it is what it is. My boy EOS with the $5 super chat, bro. Appreciate that. He said, bro, do you think Nod on Wrapped Crow is a good project? I looked into their website and it looks promising, planning a DCA. Let's pull it up, brother. Appreciate the $5 super chat, dude. Nod on Chronos. Let's pull that up real quick. Did this drop recently? No? All right, bro. You ready to hear it? You ready to hear what I'm going to say? I mean, obviously you asked. Is this the project, EOS, before I start cooking? Is this the project? Freaking ran out of beer. Let me know, EOS. Is this the project that you're talking about? It looks like it is. Come on, bro. You know I'm going to start cooking. Let's go. EOS dropped the super chat and he's like, all right, I'm out. All right, well, if you come back later or whatever the case is, I'm going to just tell you straight up with this project. If this is the project, right? First thing that I notice is that there's no volume. There's no volume on this project, right? So, I mean, regardless of how well they've orchestrated or, made their website look, whatever the case is with their Discord, their Twitter, that's all cool and all. But what I'm looking at is volume, and their volume it's not there, right? It's not there. Very small market cap, very small liquidity. Doesn't mean that this project can jump up. What I'm talking about is because it's on Chronos, very small volume. This project, could just fall into the abyss and just be forgotten, right? So just be careful. Be careful, jumping in on this project. Not financial advice, just my opinion. Just because it looks like obviously it dropped, it had a nice little run, and then since then it's really just hasn't done anything. And I mean, this project's fairly new. It's only not even a month old. So I would personally just be cautious. Me personally, I wouldn't touch this right now. I wouldn't touch it right now, just given that it's not even trending on Chronos. You guys know Chronos already is like ghost town right now. It's got $2 million in volume for the whole day, right? There's not a lot going on right now as we speak on Chronos, so a project like that, it's just one of, hundreds of projects right now that are probably just doing no volume today. So I would just be cautious, bro, on that as far as jumping in. Maybe wait to see what's going to happen, because you never know. Maybe, a few weeks down the road, if the market's, if we do see a little bit of a cool off, right? Because we've been doing good, but if we see a little bit of a cool off, it's going to be even worse ghost town around here, right? And you don't want to be stuck holding on to a project that just literally went dormant. Punk, with the $5 super chat, bro, I appreciate you. Said thoughts on AVAX and Arbitrum. I'm going to jump in on Arbitrum first. Arbitrum, if you guys remember the beginning of the channel, I would always tell you guys that I was very bullish on Arbitrum, right? I was very bullish on Arbitrum. I still am. Arbitrum, I mean, you can look at this. The last time I've had a favorite tracement on here. Arbitrum is a layer 2 project that's on Ethereum, right? So it's on the Ethereum ecosystem, but layer 2, so cheaper fees, got its own ecosystem. Arbitrum, I love. I do like what they have. They've kind of dropped down in the last year, right? They used to be one of the top 5 there it is right there. One of the top 5 ecosystems per volume. Today, they're at around 300 million in volume, which is still solid. It's still solid, right? So I mean, they're still definitely very relevant. What killed them is Arbitrum was doing so great, and then they already had it, kind of scheduled on their white paper. They basically indicated that at a certain time they were going to be releasing more coins into circulation, and that's what they did, and it diluted the price. So Arbitrum used to sit at steadily above $1, and you can see obviously even with a little bit of a bounce right now, it's at 30 cents. So they did dilute their the project with releasing a lot of more coins into circulation, right? And if you really look, total supply is at 10 billion. Right now they're at 4.75 billion. So which means they still have more to release, but it doesn't mean they're going to be doing it now. A lot of times with these big projects, they release them yearly, every couple years. You would have to go on, if you look on CoinMarketCap, you see they have a link to their white paper, their website. Their white paper is where you want to go into. I would go into there and they'll show you their tokenization, and they'll basically break it down when they're going to be releasing coins into circulation. That's something you want to kind of keep an eye on and maybe get some information on before investing into the project. I think the project's solid, but you don't want to be buying in and they're about to release another 4 billion into circulation, in the next 4 months, because it'll definitely bring the project down, because investors obviously they don't like to see, more getting into circulation. It dilutes the coin. So, but as far as the project, I think it's great. If you're set on buying right now, honestly, I think that right now, sorry, I was reading what I see. Crypto Mew, what's going on, brother? Right now, I mean, I don't think it's a bad time. You're at a pretty low point, even where you're at right now at 30 cents. If this was something that you wanted to accumulate. Now, Arbitrum, I'm going to pull up Arbitrum as well. I'm not as familiar with Arbitrum's tokenomics. I was so interested in Arbitrum, and when this happened, it kind of threw me off. So, what's going on? What is it, Mew? You know what? Flip told us about you, brother. What's going on, bro? He's saying if you click the token unlocks, okay, you can see. Some coins now on crypto.com have token unlock schedules. Oh, do they? Where would you find that, brother? If a person was looking for it, where would you find it? Middle section? Would it be somewhere around this area right here? I've seen it before, like on their charts. They'll have like a date where they're like, this is when it's unlocking, stuff like that. But I don't see it on here. Move the mouse up next to the chart. Oh, token unlocks. Look at that, bro. Look at that. That's right. It is down here. Appreciate that, brother. Let me see. So you can see, I mean, they kind of give you a unlock schedule right here. If this will get the hell out of my way, you can see basically what this is indicating is showing you. It breaks it down. The top blue are actual investors. Green is the team, future team advisors. Orange is the DAO treasury, and then the bottom is individual wallets. How many wallets are open here? So. Trying to look to see. I'm guessing, I don't know if this is like a gradual thing. Obviously, it doesn't really give us any dates on when they're going to be releasing tokens unless it's right in my face here. I'm sure it's probably right in my face and I don't see it. But definitely if you go and look at their white paper, they'll have a tokenomics on there too. And they'll definitely have it on there. It's stamped. Oh, hold on. So Mew's showing me some stuff here. So he says, yeah, so when you hover over it, if you slide through the chart, the date. Oh, I see what you're saying now, brother. I appreciate that. So let's see here. Oh, so what they're doing, and I guess this is pretty smart, is what they're doing is they gradually, slowly but surely, probably daily, they're unlocking. It looks like 0.1% every day is what it looks like until they reach their total supply is what it looks like. I see what you're saying. Yeah, every week. Okay. But listen, I wouldn't be discouraged because projects do this. A lot of projects do this where they let you know that we're going to be slowly unlocking as we build, right? So this doesn't mean that this is bad. I mean, think about it. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, obviously it's a deflationary asset, but I mean, more goes into circulation. I mean, obviously on the back end, more people are holding and buying, right? But I mean, more good into circulation as people mine Bitcoin, right? It's a lot slower process, but a lot of projects do this. That's why we always talk about, especially in the members only stream, I'm always looking for projects that are small market caps. They're great on utilities and they already have their freaking full supply already out, right? So you don't have to worry about this stuff. Not every project's like that, So I've seen projects that are like this and they still reach, high levels as far as market cap and as far as, just going through a bull run and seeing massive growth. So don't let this discourage you whatsoever. I mean, at least they're upfront and letting you know, slowly, weekly, they're basically releasing a small amount into circulating supply, which I think, and by doing that weekly, I don't really think it's going to, in the back end, really affect the price that much, in my opinion. So, Looks like 2027 is when they're on this chart. It looks like they're finishing up 2027. So 2 years from now. Welcome to the squad, bro. I don't know. I think did Flip bring you give you a link to the Discord if you're on Discord, bro. Come join. We got everybody in there as well. We talk crypto all day, so yeah, exactly. I mean, if they can keep that if they can keep especially above $1 billion market cap, and let's just say in 2 years from now, obviously I'm anticipating their market cap will be a lot higher, and everything's total supply is in circulation. I mean, definitely a good project. This wouldn't steer me off, but I think from just a few, like last year, I'm trying to think, we got word, right, that they were going to start releasing releasing into the circulating supply, and I think that's what threw a lot of investors off, right? Because investors just don't want to hear that, So, and on top of that, we've since then when Arbitrum was at $2, the market has retraced somewhat, but they didn't see that big of a bounce. So, oh shit, Red Rum's in here, guys. Red Rum's in here to troll. What did EOS? You wanted to look at I'm sorry, Punk. You want to look at AVAX as well. Let's pull up that chart. I got in a whole rant on circulating supply on Arbitrum. Holy crap! I feel like we did this like so long ago. We haven't pulled up AVAX in a while. One thing I was saying about a lot of these like utility projects, mid-cap kind of projects from last week, we saw the meme coins go crazy last week, right? We saw the meme coins go crazy last week, but we really didn't see like your like utility projects, your anything that has any fundamental projects, like mid-cap, anything like that. We didn't see them explode. We saw them have a nice little bounce, as the market moved. But even stuff like I was calling out, like XRP, right? Didn't even see XRP really go crazy. And it's the same thing for something like this, AVAX. We saw, you can see a nice little double pattern. Let me move this crap out of the way. We saw a nice little double bottom W pattern form, but it didn't even play out. It didn't even play out here. And you can see, obviously, we a nice little move towards the upside, but it really wasn't anything to run home and tell mom about. Let's see from the bottom. Not too bad. I mean, a 46% move from that bottom, right? But it really doesn't look like the project. It looks the same as, like I said, ICP. You look at freaking XRP. You look at a lot of these projects. Even Solana, we saw a nice move with Solana, but it really didn't explode. I mean, it's still, Solana's only at a 140, 146 right now to be exact. We didn't see that massive explosion in a lot of these projects like we saw for Memecoin. So for AVAX, what I would say is they have a beautiful community or a beautiful ecosystem that they built, almost like Arbitrum, right? Nice ecosystem. I think long term, the project will do really well. But for right now, you really haven't jumped out of the woods as far as really breaking out. You're still below your 786 right now, and you're really in this kind of a not downward, but a consolidation kind of as the last few weeks, as we've kind of, like I said, made those double bottoms. You really haven't broken out. And if we used this line as a trend, you can see it actually was hitting its head on the trend, indicating that it was just not ready for any kind of a breakout as of now. So what I would do with this project, not financial advice, if I was long-term or wanting to accumulate AVAX, I would see right now probably not a bad time. If we are going to see a little bit of a retracement in the markets, potentially maybe have some patience, maybe wait for some moves. I don't think that we're going to see, I don't know. Like I said, this market right now, where we're at right now, it's like, I feel like we're at such a deciding kind of price where it's like, are we flying up to 130 or 150, or are we coming back to retrace in the 80s? as of right now. Like I said, half the market's bullish, half the market's bearish. Who freaking knows what we have in front of us? I would honestly guess that the bulls are in power right now, but at any given moment we could easily flip back into being bearish, even temporary. I still do, like I keep saying, thinking we have one more big blast towards the end of the year is what I really do think, where we're going to be breaking these all-time highs, and we're finally going to see that massive altcoin season where it's not just meme coins, but everything is freaking running. So with that being the case, right now, with $21 AVAX, probably not a bad time to be accumulating, dollar cost averaging in, and waiting to see if maybe we're going to see some lower numbers to maybe jump a little bit higher in on the project, or, buy as we move up if the markets are going to stay bullish. So, but I mean, I think the point of all this is, like I said, you didn't see a massive run up. You're not going to be buying at one of these high points. It's still pretty down at these lower levels. So I think where you're at right now for AVAX is not a bad time to be accumulating. And I say that, like I said, for a majority of the projects that other than like Memecoin'S that saw a 200% gain in the last few days, a lot of these projects are still in beautiful buy zones, right? So I mean, even like ICP, you guys know I've been accumulating ICP. We saw a nice little run as of last week. We ran up to about $5.50. Now we're back down below $5, back into that buy zone for ICP as well. So, and it's the same thing for a lot of these projects. So, Red Rum said, real talk, how's Milady? Milady actually today wasn't doing terrible. She really wasn't. I mean, if you really look at Milady's chart right now, she's down, right? I mean, obviously she's down, bro. There's no other way of putting it. She's down. She's really, in the last couple of days, she's been moving towards the upside. She's been having these manipulation kind of candles where you see these crazy run-ups and then they kind of sell off. But she's making higher lows as she moves. So, big spot that I'll say as resistance is going to be that 49 area. If it can break that 49, then maybe we'll see a big run-up towards the 63, and maybe that will be indicating some kind of a breakout on Milady. But she's kind of gone dormant as far as like you don't really, no one's really in here screaming Milady right now. Obviously, we have people that have bought in on Milady that have been holding for a while. Market cap on Milady, I wonder where she's at nowadays. I'm gonna say under 40 million, 33 million, right? So still so small of a market cap. I didn't realize she got so far down on market cap. So I mean, for the month, she's up 30% for the month. Like I said, she's making higher lows. For the week, she's up about 21%. She didn't really see, I mean, you saw this like quick run up and then you saw the retracement. She didn't really see like what we saw for Myro and Maniki and Turbo, and Win and a few other projects, these meme coins that have like shot up 300%. She didn't really see that. We saw this nice move towards the upside, but it was quickly, rebounded, and she's been slowly making her way up. But, Milady's been kind of going through it, right? She's been going through it. So, I mean, if you were looking to buy back in Red Rum, I know this is lower than when you came in and announced that you were selling off everything and you cursed the project. He came in and literally he cursed the project. He said, Milady is the worst meme coin there is. I'm done with it. I just sold everything. We're all in here like, all right, bro. Take it easy. All right. Art asked about ALI. Where is ALI? ALI is up today. You know what's crazy? And I told this to Ricky. Couple things. ALI, I called this area right here. We haven't pulled ALI out up in a little while, but I said this 49 area was a big spot for some support, and that was probably going to see a big bounce. ALI is an AI project that has a very small market cap that you'll see these giga pumps, and then they come right back down. But if you can take advantage of these pumps, you can grab a 50, 60, 70% pump in a day, right? Because the market cap's so low. One thing I've noticed though for ALI is ALI likes to pump when Bitcoin is not having the best day, right? So vice versa, when Bitcoin's running, ALI is usually down. It's like odd. It's like inverse. And then when Bitcoin, like today, not having a bad day, but it's cooling down today. ALI is coming alive, and you can see it's up about 16% for today. So 81 is going to be your big spot for some resistance. You can see for these candles recently, we've had wicks above, right, at really a resistance at 92, but you can see the candle has not been able to break or find some support above that 82 or 81.9, somewhere around that area. So if this does continue, I wouldn't be surprised if we run up, obviously retest at 81. It might break above and then find that resistance at around the 91 area for ALI. So particularly me, I don't know if I would jump in right now, even though the market cap's crazy low. Given that it's up 16%, I would kind of wait to see if it's going to retrace. Like tomorrow, if Bitcoin has a good day tomorrow, ALI will be down, right? That's how it works. It's inverse. So, Old, have a good night, brother. See you later. Rugged, what's going on, brother? Call. I feel like call has kind of gone dormant, where it's like you don't really, even myself, I was buying and selling call when we were having these little I was buying and then I would sell, right? And then I'd buy and sell. I was catching these moves, but as of late, I still have a bunch of I converted my Crow into USDC, right? Because this was as of last week, or it's actually been like a month. The markets were kind of, obviously not doing the best, so I didn't want to keep my money in Crow, in Crow, while we were kind of, uneasy terms. But under this 20 mark, I was buying in. Like right now, it's under the 20 mark right now. Or it's right at that 20. I don't know if I'm eager to buy into on call again, bro. I'm long term. I like call. You guys know, we've been supporting this project since the day it dropped, right? Probably the first YouTube channel that called out call at a freaking $400,000 market cap when it first dropped like 2 years ago, however long it's been. And a lot of people made a lot of money on the channel, especially in the Discord. But since then, we've been sticking and moving, buying on these swings. But for right now, I don't know, bro. I haven't been too eager to jump in. I guess if I do catch it below this 18 mark, I definitely will grab a bag. Because, I have that just sitting there, just, collecting dust. It's not doing anything as of right now. So, but we'll see how that plays out. Chrono's ecosystem right now is like just gone ghost town. It's what we were talking about earlier for right now. So not really too much going on. Like even Bara, which is probably one of the biggest meme coins, it's got 26,000 in volume for today. Maniki's down. She's down. So what's Bitcoin doing right now? Let's see here. So Bitcoin, like I said, guys, I personally painted out, from what it looks like is some kind of a bear flag that we're forming. Like I said, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm bearish. We could easily run up, and stay in this channel as we move in and stay in this bear flag, right? But for right now, we're doing one of those moves where we break out of the bear flag towards the downside. I'm sure we'll come right back in and find this level as some support, where you can kind of look at it as somewhat of a trend line right now. So Bitcoin 94.2. Like I told you guys, tomorrow we have the GDP dropping, right? So it's not going to be good for GDP. So we'll see how the markets. I think the markets might see a little bit of a cool off. The S&P, the market, we'll see gold probably go up tomorrow. Gold's already kind of in the green right now. The dollar will probably come up a little bit, right? As people temporarily move out of risk on assets, potentially for tomorrow, and then probably like 2 hours after everything drops, they go right back. That's what it seems to be. So if gold's up, usually right now, how the markets have been moving, Bitcoin and S&P and NASDAQ and Dow Jones, they're down, right? It's like the same money's flowing back and forth, right? They're like, wait, what are we doing? We're going back into gold? Are we going back? All right. That's how it's been working. So for the most part, I think the market makers, AKA, I think this administration right now is, they don't want to see this market come down. So they're going to keep releasing news that we have, there's deals on the table for the tariffs and all this other stuff. So I think with that being said, we're probably going to most likely for the temporary term right now, we're going to probably stay in this upward movement, right? Unless something dramatic happens. So I think we'll be all right for now. Meme coins, everything's cooling off. We've seen such a big run. Might be a good time to accumulate on some of your favorite meme coins and just get ready for this next leg up. So we'll see how this plays out. If you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe. Make sure you slap that like on the way out. With that being said, guys, that's pretty much it. Like I said, GDP's dropping tomorrow, so just expect some turbulence. We have unemployment dropping on Friday as well. So big macro week. So ups and downs, we're going to see probably for this week. So with that being said, thank you guys. Anybody that dropped a super chat today, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Everybody in here, I appreciate you guys. Be safe out there. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Same time, all right? See ya.